Greetings. This is the extension of day 3 of the Nutrition in the Lifespan discussion of older adults. We almost finished the lecture, but we didn't quite do it. So this lecture begins with a slide on body composition. And we're going through addressing changes that happen with older adults that affect their nutritional status and their health. So body composition is one of them. And some of this in my mind, is not particularly fair, but it does happen. So calorie requirements decrease with age. What that means is to maintain the same weight that you had, let's say when you're 40, when you're 65, same activity and so forth means that you need to decrease your calorie intake. So about 20% fewer calories are needed to maintain the same weight. So women over 60 need to generally eat fewer than 1,500 calories a day. And that's a little bit hard to do. You can't do it, and you have a little more flexibility if you're physically active. This is one of the biggest issues. People are sedentary, then they may need to get as low as 1,200, but 1,500, 1,200, 1,500 is really quite low compared to what you eat during your normal life. So even if women are overweight, if they eat so few calories, they're at risk for malnutrition because the quality of the calories matter, the foods matter quite a bit. So an issue that has to do with what happens with body composition as people get older is a condition called sarcopenia. So take a look at these two images over here. The red denotes muscle and the yellow denotes fat. And all humans have fat, and that's okay. Please keep that in mind. But when people get older or they're more sedentary, then even though their dimensions may not be that different, if you're using a tape measure and measuring, the quality or the tissue type changes considerably. And this happens with age, even with the same amount of activity. So as people get older, they tend to gain 1 pound per year. That doesn't seem like much, but when you look over a period of 20 years, that can become unhealthy. And at the same time, there's a decrease in lean tissue between the ages in 20 and 70. So you're fighting to keep your lean tissue. You have to fight for it because otherwise it's going to go away. So the term sarcopenia is a Greek term for poverty of the flesh, and has to do with sort of wasting away of lean tissue. And along with that is, as we mentioned, is an increase in body fat. So just to put a fine point on this, a 70-year-old may have 24 pounds less lean tissue and 22 pounds more fat than a younger man. So why does this happen? So it happens because there's a hormonal change. So the sex hormones and growth hormones certainly change after the age of 50 and continue to decline. Sometimes people consume less. Protein is an issue too. Some people just don't enjoy eating that much, or it may be a problem with their income or access to food. Other issues are smoking, and my goodness, physical inactivity is such a big issue. When people don't have a consistently physically activity life, then it's pretty predictable what's going to happen. What age it happens depends on genes and other details. But with the absence of activity, people lose their muscle tone and change. And once they change their body composition, they're less able to get around, less able to take care of themselves, more likely to fall. All these things are here. They don't need as many calories anymore. They're weaker, more likely to fall and have disability and so forth. So maintaining muscle tissue is truly the fountain of youth. And so here she is. She's got her little weights. As a young person, you might think, well, my weights are a lot heavier than hers. And that's very true. However, if she did nothing, then she would be at increased risk. And if she keeps it up, then she can do more. Okay, so it's pretty much a use it or lose it concept. This is one of the biggest issues about successful aging that exists, is be physically active. So we can't do anything about some of these changes. We cannot smoke though, and we can be active and eat a good diet. So the problem with getting older too, remember we talked about body composition changing. So the obesity prevalence increases. So this is the percent of people with a body mass index over 30, which is obese. So you can see how this increases. So this is men and this is women. So by the age of 60 to 74, the incidence of obesity is really high. And this is just looking at BMI, but you have to pretty much, unless someone's really active, you have to pretty much equate that with body fat. So what happens with that increased obesity? All the risk factors that you have learned throughout your education here at Texas State, too much body fat, increased cardiovascular risk, stroke, hypertension, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, which is kind of a cluster of all these things, increased for cancer, gallbladder disease, sleep apnea, arthritis, gout. The list is pretty intimidating. I did not add to this the risk for COVID, but I can't think of anything more poignant right now than that. So how do we go about decreasing our risk for these conditions? The government has some pretty good guidelines from time to time. One of the physical activity guidelines for Americans. So there's recommendations for older adults, and older adults should do a variety of activity, balance training, aerobic, and muscle strengthening activities. So it's a combination of everything. And probably many of you are used to this. You may not do balance training because you're young, but as you get older, falling is an issue. My husband and I have, up until COVID, have gone to a personal trainer for several years. And a lot of what we do is a variety of things, lunges and weights and, free weights and machine weights and this and this. And we do our aerobic stuff on our own. But she had us do balance training all the time. Stand on one leg and lift your weight. Stand on one leg and, do this. And so the balance training makes a big difference. So you can be active and you're less likely to fall. So all of these are important. And they have to figure it out. Some people are sick, some people are overweight, some people don't have much strength, they may have arthritis, and these are conditions that are going to interfere with their activity levels. And those things, you may not understand them when you're younger, but they can be very serious for people and provide big impediments to being active. So they need to do the best that they can. And this is in a perfect world where you have access to healthcare and enough time with a healthcare provider to help you, then you know what to do. So if they can't do the 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity, that's not much if you think about it. 150 minutes, it's not much for a week, but if they can't do that, they should do as much as they possibly can. My opinion on this is go early, go often, don't stop. So other nutrients to address with older adults, vitamin A. Vitamin A, here's a DRI. Now this is interesting because we've actually talked about vitamin A being a problem with prior to pregnancy because it's teratogenic. Now it's also interesting for older adults, not for the same reason, but over a lifetime of consuming foods, vitamin A gets stored in the liver and in the carotenoids get stored in the fat. And so plasma levels increase with age. So an older person is more likely to have more vitamin A in their plasma or blood than a younger person. And there's a variety of reasons for that. So we actually, instead of saying, well, you should be taking more vitamin A for all these reasons, we actually say to older adults, don't take especially preformed vitamin A such as retinol. Go ahead and eat your food, eat your potato, eat sweet potatoes, eat all the food sources, no problem. But don't take supplements. Vitamin E, this is true across the board. Most people don't consume enough vitamin E because we don't eat these things. So in my opinion, nuts and seeds and eggs are great sources, and important to roll into your regular diet. Iron, this is another interesting one. We focus on it so much throughout the lifespan. Really, kids need it, infants need it, prior to pregnancy it's important. It's an important nutrient deficiency for the stages of pregnancy. However, for older adults, it's no longer a problem because deficiencies are common. When you think about it, females are no longer menstruating, so they don't lose iron, and then the muscle tissue decreases. So it's not such a big issue. So instead of taking these higher iron supplements, don't do it. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is programs for older adults. And a lot of people aren't aware of these things. But there's some amazing programs that can help with food insecurity and also socializing. For example, Meals on Wheels. And I have some videos for you to take a look at if you would. But Meals on Wheels is an organization that will provide meals to people that need them over the age of 60. And it's a game changer. So imagine someone that's relatively healthy, but can't really get around on their own. They're at home. You want them to age in place at home. You don't want them to go to an institution. They want to stay home. You can't really get to the issue of making meals. Meals on Wheels will come by and provide meals every day for the evening. And then sometimes, depending on the program and what's going on in the world, they may give them lunch and dinner. So you get a baggie with 2 meals, and they may also get extra things for the weekend. So this is a way to keep people home and also to provide nutrition. It's a fabulous service. One of our graduates from our undergraduate and master's program, Shauna Marceau, is now the vice president for Meals on Wheels in Central Texas in Austin. And she came from our program and just worked her way up through the system. All right, so that's the end of the lecture. Thank you very much.